Good morning, everybody. The morning after the game before. Oh dear. Another defeat. I have to say, I have absolutely purposely, stayed away from any social media at all. haven't engaged in any of it purely because I didn't want it to influence my view of yesterday. I haven't even watched the game back. I'm basically just going off of my own feeling of being at the game yesterday and watching the performance. And I do honestly and truly, I do believe that you get a different experience depending on what you do. So if you're in the stadium, that's one experience. If you're in a pub with the sound kind of just muffled in the background and mates around you whilst you're having a pint, you'll get a different experience. If you're watching it at home on your own, listen to the commentary, that will give you a different experience. And overall, you will formulate your own view based on your experience. So that's why I thought to myself, you know what, I'm not going to listen to what anybody else has said. I'm not going to read anything. I'm not going to get involved in any of it. I'm just going to say how I felt about it yesterday. Just to give you my honest opinion and try to be as non-reactionary as I can be following a defeat. So I have to tell you, for me, watching that game, it was really, really disappointing. Like really, really disappointing. To the point where I felt it was rather dull. It felt to me very much like we just didn't have any plan B at all. I think you've got to absolutely, you've got to give credit to Wolves, right? Whose fans I think are brilliant as well. I think they sang the whole time pretty much. They were really enjoying the day, and fair play to them. They always give a good account of themselves when they come down, the Wolves fans. But Wolves had a plan. Okay, they were gonna frustrate. They were gonna make it difficult for us. They wasn't gonna give us any space. They wasn't gonna give us any time, and they were gonna grab their opportunities when they came. And essentially they did. Okay, so another set piece, corner kick, headed goal, you know, it shouldn't happen, right? With the quality of defenders that we have, it shouldn't really happen, but it did. And that was really, really disappointing. And at that point, you kind of think to yourself, here we go. This is how it's going to go now. Now, I honestly did think to myself that at this point, I thought, there's time, there's plenty of time. We've got a second half. We're not going to lose this game. We've got enough in here. And my prediction was for us to win 3-1. So I thought, well, that's their goal out of the way. But as the game went on, I mean, to be fair, start of the second half, we get back into it. But for me, it was all just huff and puff, like literally just huff, puff. Forward, backward, side, out wide, cut inside, and it just felt really, really frustrating. Like nothing was happening. It was too congested. There was no real opportunity for us to kind of break on them or anything like that. And of course, when you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing like that, a breakaway goal is always on the cards, right? And that's exactly what happened. And the last man is Emerson Royal. And I think, no. he's not the quickest at the team. You want Van der Ven back there, blah, blah. Anyway, so he chases him back, and he gets there. He literally gets there. But Wolves player manages to still cross the ball, and it's just a follow-up smash. It's in. And at that point I was like, we ain't winning this now. That's it, because I'd seen enough to know that it just wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. We couldn't get through them, and once they were in front again, it was always going to be even harder, because the low block really kind of took place. The slowing down the game, the shithousery and stuff like that teams do. And listen, I'm not knocking it. It's part of the game now. It's what teams do to try to run down that clock. And I'd almost become ready for it. I kind of felt that it was coming, and I just didn't think our players had any options. I don't think there was any player yesterday who I would say really shone in the game. Like, no one kind of stood out to me. And like I say, this is a different experience if you're watching it in the ground as opposed to watching it in the TV, where you can get influenced by, the commentators or whatever. But I didn't feel like anybody really covered themselves in glory. I felt that after his really impactful game last week with Son, he was pretty ineffectual. I didn't feel like he kind of gave anything. Substitutes, when they came on, I didn't think it brought anything. I didn't think it brought anything to the game. And the thing that frustrates me the most is the lack of crossing. The lack of, even like when we cross, it's always a low cross. There's never a kind of a chip to the back post, or whipping the ball in for someone to kind of get their head on and all the rest of it. And I know we're not typically head inside, but I mean, when Richarlison's playing, who's good in the air, you think that's got to be an option. And it's almost like we were trying to walk the ball in the back of the net. And I think I said this before. I recall back a couple of years ago when Arteta first took over at Arsenal and the biggest criticism you had of him is they were literally trying to walk it into the back of the net. And I just feel like we're at that situation now. We're literally just trying to walk it in the back of the net. We're overplaying it rather than trying to keep it simple, taking players on and really running at them and really trying to whip a quick ball in and that kind of stuff. Or taking some shots outside the area even. It just feels like we're looking for that final pass. And as I say, it was just a really disappointing game, and it felt quite dull. I love going to the stadium. I love watching the team live and so on. But it just didn't do it yesterday. It just didn't do it. The team, for me, and this is just for me, like from my point of view, it just felt like not disinterested, but almost like we'd been beaten before it had kicked off. I don't know. I can't explain it. It seems a bit of an odd thing to say, I guess, because I'm sure if I watched the game again and I listened to other people talk about it and so on, and commentary and all that, it will probably give me a different perspective. I will probably see things that I didn't actually see as I'm watching it live, because of course you've got no replays, you've got none of that kind of stuff, no slow motions or anything like that. All you've got is your first-hand view of it. But I'd say I was just really, really disappointed. Really, really disappointed. And the thing is, with all due respect to Wolves, that's a game you've really got to win. Those are the ones that you've got to win, especially at home. You've got to win those games to keep that momentum going. We are battling with Aston Villa to get into that top four. We know that Liverpool are on a roll. Jurgen Klopp's final season, they want to send him out in a blaze of glory, right? So Jurgen Klopp's final season, they're running really well. Man City are Man City, they'll just keep steamrolling and getting results. And then, you know, Arsenal are on fire at the moment, scoring for fun. So the only opportunity we've got to get that top four spot is to go against, is to try and hope that Villa lose momentum, and we gain some. But at the moment, it feels very much like it's going in the other direction. Now, listen, like I've said, I never expected to be in a position where we're trying to get top four. I expected us to be going, can we get into Europe? Can we get a sixth or a seventh, maybe fifth? You know, if we really kind of put a run together, you know, that would be a really good season for a first season for a team in transition, playing a different type of football that we haven't played before, with pretty much a totally different team than we've had for God knows how many years. And so I'm not saying I'm disappointed with where we are or that everything's fallen apart because we didn't win this game. But what I'm saying is, having got ourselves into this really good position, the expectation from fans is obviously going to rise. You know, we listen to Ange, and he talks brilliantly, and he's such an influential coach with who's got a brilliant way of bringing you along, and it's created this really good atmosphere, a really good feeling, and so on. And you're going to have bumps in the road, and we knew that getting hit on the break was always gonna be likely, right? Because that's what happens. You play in a high line, a high press, and you're playing in the opposition's half. You know, you're opening yourselves out like that. So we knew that was going to happen, and it wasn't going to be easy in the first season. We don't really have the excuses of injuries. I know that Udogie wasn't playing yesterday, and I know that Porro wasn't playing, and these two players have been really, really good for us, right? But I don't think we lost the game because of the injuries. I don't feel like Emerson Royale or Ben Davies were the cause of the loss. I think the whole team's performance was the cause of the loss, if you get what I mean. Emerson Royale is not Pedro Porro. I get that. And he made some mistakes in the game. I've got to be honest, you know. But then I've never been his biggest fan, but I'll support him because he's a Tottenham player. And he came in and he played at centre-back, and he's really put the effort in. You can't knock his effort and his endeavour. And Ben Davies, again, has always been, a total professional, works hard and does what he's asked to do, whatever he's asked to do, never complains, just gets on with it. So I've got huge respect for both of those players, but they aren't the players that we would normally have. But saying that, we didn't lose the game because we didn't have those two players. We lost the game because our performance was lacklustre and poor, and we ran out of ideas. And so for me, yeah, overall, really, really disappointed today that we didn't take advantage of it. But listen, like I keep saying it, what else are you going to do, right? So I got up at 6:30 yesterday morning, got in the South Dorset Spurs bus at 7:30. We didn't get home until 10 o'clock last night. But would I do it all again? Of course, every time. Because it's not just about the football when you go to the stadium, it's about the whole experience. So I had a great day yesterday. Met up with some people that I haven't seen for a really long time. Met up with me pals. Obviously, I've got my own season ticket, so see the guys who I stand around, and I've got a good bunch who stand around where I stand, or sit, should I say. Managed to get the South Dorset flag out in the stand as well. Got told I've had to move it actually. because it was blowing and getting in people's way, apparently. They couldn't see the goal, so I had to move it. But anyway, but it was there. It was flying high in the stadium. Maybe on Match of the Day you might see it. I was with my son and we had a couple of beers and we had a bit of a sing-song and all the rest of it. And overall, it's a good day. It's just disappointing that the result didn't go our way. But listen, first season, problems we've had, all that kind of stuff. You've got to stay positive. You've got to keep thinking, you know, things will get better. You know, things will progress. We're going in a better direction than direction we've been previously. So I'm just hoping that social media, the cesspit that is social media, isn't in meltdown today over this one loss. But we'll see. I'm sure it is, to be fair. I'm sure it is. I'm sure that social media is in total meltdown and Spurs fans are calling for Andy's head. I can just imagine the headlines now. But listen, I'm not going down that road. For me, I feel like we're going in the right direction, but there's going to be poor results and poor performances. And that was a poor performance, in my opinion. But we'll see. Maybe I'll watch Match of the Day and see if it was as bad as it felt in the ground, or whether some of the players played better than I thought. But I didn't think anyone covered themselves in glory, and I just felt that we just played in front of them and played into Wolves' hands. And fair play to Wolves. I think they played their game and they did what they needed to do, and they got the 3 points and they deserved to the win. So, you know, fair play to them. I'm not going to knock them for that. Anyway, I've waffled on 16 minutes, so I'll leave it there and I'll let you get back to the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it as always. If you'd like to subscribe, that would be great because it's free. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does help me. It helps the channel get promoted a little bit more. But yeah, and I'll speak to you on the next one. And from me and from Ruby, who is fast asleep behind me, have a good weekend. Up the Spurs.